Hello, this is a presentation for Chapter 9, Create the Foundation of Our Deployment Pipeline by Danica Christensen, Andrew Oborn, and Rachel Bixel. In this presentation, we're going to be covering a story about M. Campbell Priddy and her development of pipeline. We're going to be covering on-demand creation of dev, test, and production environments, repository of truth for entire systems, rebuilding versus repairing infrastructure, including running in production-like environments, to the definition of done, and we'll move then on to the conclusion of the presentation. M. Campbell Priddy worked for an Australian telecommunications company. She gained responsibility for all the strategic objectives for the company that relied on the company's enterprise data warehouse. The situation when she came to this post was grim. There were 10 streams of work in progress. Each stream used a waterfall process, and each stream was significantly behind schedule. It took a very long time for any of the streams to complete portions of work. When a portion was completed, the result often fell short of the expectations of the business. To try and solve the issue, Campbell Priddy held a program-wide retrospective meeting. At the meeting, she asked how they could double their productivity. The answer became clear. It was to improve the availability of provisioned environments for developer teams to work in. This process usually took about 8 weeks. To solve the issue, an integration and build team was created. This team's job was to build quality into the process instead of trying to inspect it after the fact. The team also created version control around all the production environments and automated the environment creation process. These changes allowed teams to get correct environments in a single day, which is a huge improvement of the former timeline of 8 weeks. This major change allowed teams to meet their deadlines.
When lead times are long and proper testing does not happen during a project's early stages, chaos and disruption can occur at a software's release. This is because the application behavior in a product-like environment becomes visible, revealing previously unknown errors. To combat this, developers need to run product-like environments on their own workstations so they can easily test their code throughout all stages of the project, which creates opportunity for daily feedback and increased quality. It is also important to make a common build mechanism that creates development, test, and production environments. This is done by first defining and then automating currently stable working environments, effectively containing the collective knowledge of the organization. By doing this, individuals are able to access production-like environments in minutes rather than weeks. It also enables teams to quickly create new, reliable, and consistent environments while reducing tedious or error-prone manual work. By automating environments, more time, flexibility, and control is given for developers to experiment, as well as analyze, diagnose, find, and fix problems, all while keeping separate from production services and shared resources to decrease risk. This benefits operations and development, strengthening the shared knowledge between them. Another important thing to have is a single repository of truth for the entire system. A repository of truth is version control that contains all of the developer's application source files and configurations. Since version control keeps a record of changes made to system files, each commit and revision is made visible, allowing developers to compare, merge, and restore the system to a past update if needed. This rollback feature reduces the risk of costly and time-consuming repairs. Application as well as production environments should be incorporated into version control, encompassing everyone within the value stream. This allows individuals from different workstations to see each other's changes for a smoother overall experience. Things that should be checked into version control include all dependencies in code applications, such as libraries or static content, scripts that support code packaging and deployment, as well as scripts for database schemas, application reference data, and any other script or configuration information needed for multi-service infrastructure, all tools used for making environments, the files used to make containers, all automated and manual test scripts, project artifacts such as documentation, requirements, and deployment procedures, and finally, all cloud configuration files. When these things are checked into a shared version control repository, all components of the working software can be reliably and predictably reproduced to avoid disastrous outcomes.
Making our applications and environments easily rebuildable and repeatable makes it much easier to rebuild them rather than trying to fix them. Doing this also makes it possible to add more servers into the rotation. This helps us avoid having to fix an error on old servers that didn't have previous documentation on their coding. To help ensure consistency in production changes, we want to ensure that those changes are made everywhere in the production, pre-production, and newly made production environments. This can best be accomplished with an automated configure system. When doing this, we make sure that changes are automated everywhere and that changes must go through a version control. This creates an immutable infrastructure, meaning no manual changes to the production environments are allowed. To keep our infrastructure in a good state, we don't allow remote logins to servers and make sure that all developers are working on the most current environment. To ensure that we maintain short development intervals where developers are checking code in production-like environments, we have to change the definition of done. This new definition means that at the end of each developmental interval, developers have integrated, tested, working, and potentially shippable code demonstrated in a production-like environment. This prevents a developer saying code is done when it has just been run on their own laptop. Enforcing this makes sure that no errors appear when we release code and that the software has been run in a production-like environment hundreds or even thousands of times before it is released. Practicing this ensures we catch developmental problems that would occur when the software was released. In our presentation, we talked about how M. Campbell Priddy created more consistent environments with an integration and build team. The importance of having on-demand production-like environments. Maintaining version control through a repository of truth. Why infrastructure should be rebuilt rather than being repaired. And lastly, changing the definition of done to ensure our code is being tested in production-like environments before being released.